Tonight, we're talking about planning membership sites. So I'm not going to go into the host and development because there's enough in just planning to cover like an entire day's worth of stuff. I do have a client membership matrix. So I'll post these slides on the meetup page, on the Facebook group, on Slack, and everywhere else. So you have all the links afterwards. But I've got this little, what I call membership matrix spreadsheet. It's a Google sheet. And it covers things like mapping content type to membership levels or user types. There's journey mapping examples on there. And I think I've actually got another tab, because that's an old one. I've got another tab that's has all the big membership plugins and what they do and what they don't do, like a matrix of functionality. So grab that. When you're planning, membership websites are probably one of the most complicated types of websites that you can try and plan for, regardless whether it's WordPress or anything else. There's so much pre-planning that you need to do in order that you don't muck up later on, either during delivery or after delivery. So what I want to do is just show you the types of things that need to be done pre-planning before you even think about WordPress or infrastructure or plugins or anything. I've been bitten a few times with membership websites, and I'll do a quick case study at the end to see some of the things that it could go wrong. But I love this quote, just be careful when you're doing a membership website, and that also goes for an LMS website as well, because they're kind of similar. But any type of membership site, you need to be really careful where you tread and how you pre-plan. Here are some things that can happen if you don't plan properly. You've got plugins that don't scale if you're not sure, if you don't plan as to who the user types are, what they're coming, what the volume is. Plugins might not be able to handle it. You can have content access logic, so somebody wants to access something, but there's no clear upgrade or downgrade path. All these things like poor integration with other tools that can come out when you don't scope properly, and then you find out that there's a feature that you haven't implemented or can't implement because the tool set you've got now doesn't use that, and then you're trying to kind of retrofit stuff in. Yeah, upgrades, downgrades. That's a common thing that people miss, is how do you navigate up and down the different memberships if that's the type of membership you want. Over-reliance on a single plugin as well. Don't just jump straight in with a plugin and say, oh, I'm going to choose this one, and that's my default membership plugin, and then try and squeeze everything in there. So try not to rely on one single thing. Be open to what all the other membership plugins offer. And importantly is like an exit strategy or migration path. So things like cancellation, if people want to move from one siloed membership to another, is that possible? And have you mapped and planned that? So websites are really complex. These types of websites are really, really complex, but we can make it simple by pre-planning and having lots of pre-planning activities and make sure we get that nailed down. So we want to try and make it as simple for us as possible by doing as much stuff before we jump into the infrastructure as possible. So first of all, we need to know what types of membership models that could be implemented, because sometimes not all the time the customer knows what type of subscriptions are out there. They just have this idea in their head as to the things that they might want to do, and they haven't got a clear idea about how people are going to purchase, what they're going to access within that thing. So that becomes clearer when we go through the strategy with the client. But here's the types of membership models. This covers most of them. I'm sure there's some bespoke stuff out there. But you get your free access. So that's once you register, you get access to free courses, maybe a free community, something like that. You can have an all-in access. So someone pays money and they get access to everything until the subscription cancels, and then they don't get access to it. That's a fairly common model. You get siloed or tiered. So that's your bronze, silver, gold type levels. And the more money you pay, the more access you get. And you can go down as well if it allows you to do that. Progressive access or drip model. So that's where content is released over a particular time. So you might sign up and things will be dripped every month for those. And yeah, I'll leave that one just now. Upgrade, downgrade. Not everyone wants to implement this, but that allows you to shift up to gold for maybe for a couple of months. And if it's too costly, you can shift down to silver. Obviously, you get more with gold, less with silver. That's what up and down membership models are. Content ownership on Unlock. This is an interesting one, and in the case study, I mentioned this one. So this is where someone signs up and they get kind of all access to the stuff. And if they cancel, then they get to keep all the stuff that they've unlocked up until when they cancel. Now, it's not a common type of membership, but I got stung with this one because the customer didn't understand what type of membership she was wanting. So I'll talk a little bit about that. There's one-time purchase, which is different from all access. So all access is you pay money, you access the stuff until you cancel, then it goes away. One-time purchase is a single payment, permanent, lifetime access. WordPress?
Sorry, we got confused. Different hosts.
There's three.
There's three. Okay, no worries. This is the membership one.
Yeah, there's a couple of seats round about. So you pay that one-time purchase, and you get access to it for the lifetime, all time. It doesn't go away. Paper content. So these are more like microsites. So you buy a little bit of content, so content packs. People can offer those. These are usually permanent. So not recurring. You pay a one-time fee, and you get access to that little content pack. There's time limited, of course, so you can access for X amount of days. That might be used for things like cohorts, where you've got a type of content you want to go through within a particular time frame, and then that's it, kind of finished. You get cohort-based as well, and that's more of a scheduled timeline, depending on if you pay for it that way or not. And then you get hybrid, which combines one or two of these. It kind of covers everything else. But those are the main types of membership models that you need to recognize what they are, know what they are when you're approaching a client before you go to any kind of programming or thing. So this is your strategy session, and you've got to try and figure out as a developer, as a freelancer, as a business owner, which type of model you are fitting in, or which models you want to cover, because that's going to determine which plugin, what infrastructure, and what capability you actually need to implement at the end when you're trying to build the system. So some key things you need to consider. This is at the planning phase when you're sitting down with your client. It could either be a strategy or it could be the beginning of the project itself. What you need to do is try and map what content types you have. So what are you offering? What's the client offering? With the type of members that are going to access your system. So I do this in two ways. I have a content type versus member access level matrix. And I also have the member models that we're covering. Because you kind of need to know what models you're implementing, but you also kind of need to know what your content and where it fits in with that particular mapping. So this is the stuff that I offer, or I'm going to offer it with my WP Accelerator program. So I've got free courses. I've got single paid courses. I've got my main WP Accelerator program. And then I've got WP Accelerator Club, which is the add-ons for that. So you can see here, what I've done is I've split it off into unregistered users. They don't get access to anything. So it's useful to map that, because if you're not mapping that, then the client could come at the end and say, well, free users, unregistered users can still have this course. So map everything. So unregistered users get nothing. Once they've registered, once they're through that gate, even if they're free, they haven't paid, their class is beginner, and they get access to free courses and the free course forum that they can chat about. So that could be a Facebook or anything. Then we move on to the paid section. So I've got single paid courses that they can get access to. I have, but they don't get access to the big program, because the big program, again, is a separate paid course. So if we move on to the Accelerator program, you can see here that they actually get access to free courses. They don't get access to single paid courses in that instance. So this is like a 12-week self-governing program that you go through. So they get access to that one. They get access to the forum. They get access to group coaching, because that's part of that package. But the club is more like subscriber. So what happens after that program? Then you keep on going, and they get access to things like group recordings, club resources, podcast interviews, and stuff like that. The little purple tick is conditional. So when they sign up for the Accelerator program paid 12-week course, they get access for those 12 weeks to the community and the group coaching recordings. But after that 12-week program's finished, unless you subscribe, they don't get access to that. So I'm kind of mapping where the the free and the paid users coming and what they get access to in this matrix. I added on a little payment and cancellation just for my reference in that. So it's good to know how the payments are being collected at this point. Is it a one-time payment? Is it a subscription? What's the length of the subscription? Is it monthly, yearly, annually? Blah, blah, blah. Auto renewal as well. Are we going to ask for auto renewals? And access after cancellation, which is super important. And a lot of people miss that one out. But what happens if somebody cancels? You know, what's the journey map? What does that mean? What do they get access to? What don't they get access to? And within all this content type, what are the particular types of models? Well, the beginner is a free membership. And then we've got single paid courses, which is a one-time purchase. They retain access for that. The main program itself, that's a progressive access, that's a drip model over 12 weeks. Self-paced, one-time payment with an optional recurring after it finishes. And then the WP Club is an all-access subscription. And yeah, it's like a monthly or yearly access. And you don't get any content after you cancel for that. That's you're out unless you resubscribe. So that's the main crux. And this can probably take maybe 2 or 3 meetings with a client to kind of go through all their offerings, all their content, who's going to be accessing it, what are the tiers, what are the users, how much they're paying, all that sort of stuff. So I capture that visually, and that works really well with the clients because they can just see immediately, oh, well, you've missed this thing that I offer, or what about this type of person, or what about this payment method? So really visual. So if you are doing some planning for membership, I really recommend doing some kind of visual representation so clients get it immediately.
Just quickly, you've got the ticks next to after cancellation. Is that because they're still within the period of their subscription, or is that because you're still being nice, giving them access?
Well, no, it's as it says. So if they're on a subscription,
yeah,
and they cancel it, then
yeah. So the subscription is still valid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So as well as that, as well as the type of content, your membership models, I recommend you should do this for every website. You should do journey mapping. Okay, so what points are the users coming in? How are they getting to the content? So this is just a little snippet of the top level of the spreadsheet. But here I've got a free user journey, so unregistered to registered. The little progressive link there, so maybe it's an ad that you're targeting on Facebook or TikTok or whatever. It goes to a landing page. It's a free sign up, register, log in, access free courses, and engage in a free course forum as well. So that's a user journey map, so for free users. Here's a single paid course journey. Again, we've got this ad or search, Google search or ad, landing page, but then there's a purchase course, there's a register, there's a login, course enrollment. There's probably, those last ones could be swapped. But anyway, there's a course forum, and then there's a course completion. That's the journey map for them. And again, other ones there's a subscription that cancel as well. The last one there, number 5, it's not the last one on the list, but it's the one on the screenshot, is what happens when a member cancels. So member cancels, content access expires, or is it retained with business rules? It depends on the type of thing. Then what do you want to do? Do you want to send automated email reminders? Oh, you've canceled this. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe your card expired, blah, blah, blah. You know, now's time to take action. You might have a special rejoin offer. Sorry, you canceled. If you come back, you know, we'll give you 10% off for the next 6 months. Try and entice people. And then user re-enrolls or leaves completely. So these are the journey maps, all the different content points that people could come in, and the journey that we think and hope that they'll take. There's lots of different models for journey mapping, and there's lots of different information that you can collect. The core information you want to collect is the actual journey all the way through, because that's what you can tell to that's what you can sit down with your customer and say, right, well, this person comes into your website, here's what they want to do, is that correct? And they can say, oh, well, actually, this thing happens or that thing happens. But you can also collect things like how users are feeling, what they're experiencing, what they're thinking at that point as well. And that might go towards things like ads and landing pages that you might want to tweak for conversion. This one here is shopping for a new car, and it's a little bit different. It doesn't do the complete journey. It blocks it down by time scales, by time schedules. So in the first week, you're just considering what to buy. You're looking at TV commercials, radio commercials, you're visiting websites, you might see ads on Facebook. And then it goes to month 2 where you're looking at all your stuff. Then you've got another 1 month where you've kind of narrowed it down to what car models you want, and now you're looking to compare. So it kind of goes on with that particular journey model. And then down the bottom, you've got a little highs and lows, and that's what people are experiencing, what they're thinking along the line. And again, that can help with ads and conversions, but things like this website's terrible, this website's really, really good, or I'm glad I found this feature. So they're collecting emotions as well through this journey mapping. This one is online shopping. So I think the feelings, I think that bit should be down here. But they've got the activities that somebody goes through when they're buying something, all the way from looking to look at something all the way to pay. And again, they're mapping how people are feeling on that journey, because if you map how people are feeling, then you can overcome their objections if they're feeling negative and put that on landing page. So it helps to increase conversion. And the experience and what they expect the outcome to be as well. So there's lots of examples. This is another one. This is Spotify, music sharing experience. So visit, discover, share, respond. And again, they've got some emotions going on there and some thoughts that might be in some people's heads. But what you really want to do is, these are kind of the core metrics that you want to gather when you're doing journey mapping with your client or your own website. So entry points, where are they coming from? Where do they start? Is it an advert? Is it from TikTok? Is it from search? Is it a radio ad? Are you going old school, that sort of stuff? How do they sign up? Is it a landing page? Is it a gated entry? So where do they end up from that entry point? How they're going to pay? So how often, what method? That might lead you to think about, are you going to offer PayPal's four steps? Are you just going to offer Stripe? Are you going to go with, if you've got international customers, are you going to go with, WorldPay or something like that? What they can access, how they can engage. So when you're offering membership sites, engagement is something you really need to think about, because if you just give people access to and you don't make it engaging and fun, they're just not going to go through the course or the access. So engagement as part of forums or groups can be a useful thing to think about as well, to keep people, as a community engaged together. Touch points are what are the key places where they're interacting with you. So is it on registration? Is it landing page? Is it the sign up form? So what are the key areas that you need to look at from a developer and from a business user as to where the users are interacting and making a decision to go one way or the other. Upgrade, downgrade paths, cancellation. Again, I said before, it's really important what happens when they cancel or subscription expires, and conversions and drop-off. So have a look at your journey map, see where people are likely. If they're going to make a big decision like buying, where are they going to drop off, and what do you need to do to convert or change your landing pages and login areas to get people to convert for that and not abandon. Those are the key journey metrics to gather. I love this quote: laws like sausages, and it's better not to see them being made. This hits true. If you watch a documentary, I'll never eat a sausage again until you smell them and go, sausages. But so we're going into the legal side now. Now we've got no ability to change the laws. We've just got to go for it. This is for the sausage thing. You just got to bite it and go for it. Don't bother about how it's been made. You can't change it. So have a look at the legal, compliance and data management. This is paramount if you're running any type of membership website. There's things that you need in there, otherwise you're likely to clamp down for that. So things like GDPR and privacy, they kind of go together. So if you don't know what GDPR, it's the big European thing. It's General Data Protection Registrar or something like that. I can't remember what it stands for. But if you are an Australian business, then in general, you don't have to comply with GDPR unless you target European citizens or your offer is targeting European citizens directly. Then in general, you don't have to comply with GDPR. But you do still have to comply with the Australian Privacy Act, which covers a lot of the stuff that's in GDPR. And that covers things like above, where's the data being stored? Is it being stored here? Is it being stored overseas? Is it being secured? So where you're storing it, is it stored securely? Is it encrypted? When you're transmitting it, is it over SSL, which it always should be. The can members request and view and delete stuff, that kind of is more the GDPR. It's kind of not so much the Australian privacy policy. But yeah, do you have processes in place to handle privacy requests? So someone comes to you and say, well, I signed up for this thing. What sort of stuff are you storing? Oh, I cancelled it. Are you still storing? What are you using it for? Where's it being stored? That stuff is still legitimate under the Australian Privacy Act.
Has it been updated since 1988?
Oh, it's got amendments and stuff. So yeah. It evolves. It's not fast evolution, but it has evolved since then. So there's lots of amendments to it. But in general, you need to be very, very careful because you're capturing people's billing data, not particularly the card, but personal information around, email address, name, date of birth, maybe. If it's a membership site that's selling adult stuff, then, you might do some shipping of stuff. If you've got products, again, you've got address. So, that is personal data, so you need to be careful with it. On the other side, general website legal stuff that you should have is policies, terms of services, that sort of stuff. So what happens when membership structure changes? So this is from a business point of view. What someone signed up to something, and then maybe 3 years later, the business user decides to change the structure of that, and you need to have that outlined because they're signing up to something, so that needs to be covered in a terms and conditions. Say the business has a right to restructure or change or cancel. You need to know about refund policies and processes. That should be super clear because people will read that stuff. Most people read that stuff. My wife reads that stuff when we're signing up for stuff online. So what happens? What is the refund policy and what is the business process to do that? Don't just invent it when someone asks a refund. I know a lot of business users do. And these are conversations you have with your business at the strategy meeting. You say, what is your refund process? What are you physically going to do? And they go, oh. Site closures, contingencies. So what happens if the site goes down? What happens if your lifetime access, you don't want to offer that anymore? So you need to have things in place in your policies that cover things like that. Otherwise, people get a bit uppity, especially if they're paying money for it. And again, as general, every website should have a privacy policy, terms and conditions, a code of conduct if you're offering anything like groups or forums or community engagement, anywhere where someone can leave a comment, you should have a code of conduct policy for that. And yeah, define lifetime membership. What does that mean? Is it my lifetime? Is it the business owner's lifetime? Is it the internet's lifetime? Who knows? So define terms like that. So it's very important that you engage with your customer, your client, or talk to a lawyer and get all that stuff sorted in the policies. Because 9 out of 10 times it'd be fine. It's the one person who's not fine with it and ends up going to legal advice. That's when it hits the fan. Okay, so money, and I love this quote as well. You think nobody cares about you? Try missing a couple of payments, and you'll soon find some communications coming your way. So we're moving into the payment and the subscription logic now. I notice I've not even thought about payment gateways or plugins or anything yet. So this is all just pre-planning. So what model best fits the business? This is going back to the content. Maybe you've got a complex website and you've got different moving balls and things. You need to know what you're implementing. Or maybe you've just got a simple tutorial website that's like an all-in access, which is easy. But you need to define what models fit the content that you have. And that goes back to the matrix beginning. But then you're thinking about additional payment features. So it might not just be as easy. When you're thinking through these things, you might think, okay, I've got this stuff, great, people pay me for it, fantastic. But then when you think about how people, when you go through the user journey mapping, you're thinking, well, how are people actually paying for it? Maybe my target audience might not all have credit cards, but they might have PayPal accounts, So things that you want to think about when considering payment, and again, we're not touching on payment gateways at all just yet, is do you need a free trial for that? Okay, so you're going to offer 7 days free trial. What does that mean? Okay, how is that going to be implemented? Initial payment. So sometimes you'll have membership sites where someone will say, okay, well, you're not going to commit for maybe 7 days free trial, but there's initial payment of X amount, to get you started. So you're trying to offload freeloaders, basically. Get a commitment. You might have a delayed payment as well. So again, this kind of goes into kind of free trial area. So rather than just offering a free trial period, you might say, well, I'll just delay your payment by 7 days, 14 days. Okay. The reason these are important is that when people signing up for stuff like membership sites, you don't really want to give them free access because that's not a commitment. What I tend to find for business owners, if you offer a free trial without a commitment, then 9 out of 10 times, maybe not 9 out of 10 times, I'll just put my finger. A lot of the times people will just drop off and not commit to that then payment. If you can get a payment up front or a commitment to do a delayed payment, then you're more likely to see a conversion through into your paid membership site. On top of that, you might be running some discounts. You might be running some ads. It might be seasonal. You're trying to get some seasonal traffic and offer discounts. Again, it's something you need to think about. Does your payment system need to handle that? Gift vouchers. So when your business is doing pretty well, do you want to offer gift vouchers, other people to buy access for other people and implement that? And subscription management. How are people and how are you going to manage that subscription? Is it all going to be done manually? Is it going to be done automatically? Are you going to allow your clients, the users, when they're logging in, to be able to see the subscription, cancel the subscription, modify the card when it expires, all that sort of stuff? So thinking about this stuff at the start will help you then think about what you need to implement from a payment system and ultimately what payment gateways and the features that you need to integrate with. And again, even specifying just that one thing alone can narrow you down on what plugin that you're going to implement or SaaS system, because not all of them will implement this stuff. And you don't want to learn midway when you're choosing your plugin and then it's like, oh, it doesn't do gift vouchers, bugger. So this is more in the kind of going to the subscription logic. We've got a little bit of payment. So payment timings as well. You got to think about when you give people access to subscription. When they pay and sign up, do they get that stuff now? Or do they get that with the next billing cycle? If they're upgrading, it's going to be a different price point. Is that prorated upgrades? So if they're on a $50 plan and they go to a $100 plan, that's also a $50 difference. Is that charged just then? Or is that added on to the next payment? And then continue on with that payment. Different payment gateways will implement this in different ways. What happens if your joins at the end or towards the end of the month and your billing cycle is on the first of the month? Do they get access to content there and then? Is that prorated for the amount of days that they have? Or do they have to wait until the next billing cycle, which is a little bit simpler to implement? So I think about those things. We talked about the cancellation, but that needs to be, you need to think about that. Does it get cancelled immediately or is it the next billing cycle again? Drip content versus instant access. So if you are using a drip model, what are the models that you're implementing? Is it weekly? Is it daily? Is that consistent over all your offers? Or is it dependent on the particular offer type? So maybe you've got different courses. You've got one course that's a self-paced for 2 or 3 days. It's like a beginner's one. You can have all access. Maybe you've got a bigger program like mine, which is 12 weeks, which you drip it every week or every other couple of days. So subscription management, again, you need to think about upgrades and downgrades. If that's your model, if you're doing bronze, silver, gold, platinum, can people move up and down? Not all offers allow people to move up and down. You might need to cancel one and then go into another one. Prorated billing adjustments, how's that done? Is that done by you? Is it done by the payment gateway? Is it done by the subscription with the integrated payment gateway? Do you have to offer multiple payment gateways as well? Again, we talked about that. Where's your user base? And do they have Stripe? Do they have PayPal? Are they overseas? And you have to think about currencies as well. Do you have a local currency, or do you decide just to charge in US dollars and take the FX rate hit on that? And then failed payment as well, which is really important if you run a subscription website, a membership website. People are paying with a card. Cards expire after 2 or 3 years. So how do you handle that? Is it a manual process? You're going to send out emails? Does your payment gateway handle that? Does your subscription membership platform handle that as well? And what does that mean? So yeah, there's a lot to cover just before we even think about the infrastructure. So we've done all that stuff. We've got it all sorted. You're never going to be able to account for all use cases. Users are users, clients are clients, things change. But if you do all that stuff up front, you've got a huge chance of making a successful membership website. Here are some common websites, membership plugins that you can build a member website using. They've got pros and cons. You'll find that most of the paid ones are relatively the same nowadays. There was a big gap about 5-6 years ago in what they offered, but now they're all kind of merged into into one offer. They all see what everyone else offers, and they're kind of up in their game. But in general, Members is your very basic one. That's free. Members is a free plugin. It's really good if you just want to restrict content. If you maybe got like a WordPress website that's got pages, posts, and it's got some videos, stuff in there that you just want to give people access to very, very simply. You can implement that using Members, but it doesn't have any payment gateway, so that'd be separate. There's no drip system. It's very, very basic for that. 3 of the big ones that I've used in the past, actually, there's another one that should be MemberPress, but Restrict Content Pro, that used to be my kind of go-to membership site. And again, I was in that mentality. I'll choose one membership plugin. I'll just hammer everything else into that and hope it works. AR Member, I've got a lifetime deal with them. So if it's suited with that particular membership model, I'll usually go with that. MemberDash is LearnDash's new membership site. So they released that last year, I believe. So if you're running a LearnDash LMS and want the whole extended membership site, because LearnDash has its kind of memberish areas of groups and things. But if you want like a proper membership site, then MemberDash and LearnDash work really well because it's the same company for those. MemberPress as well. It's not on this one here, but I'll have it in a later slide. It's probably the biggest and best one for handling complex websites for those. But again, that's the stuff that they support. It's the very basic stuff that you'd expect from a membership. So multiple levels, drip content, payment gateway. Again, these are out the box. So Restrict Content Pro is just Stripe and PayPal, but they have add-ons. But that's the core stuff. AR Member, they do Stripe and PayPal. They do 2Checkout, Authorize.net as well. MemberDash is limited to those. And again, MemberPress have got like a huge list of payment gateways. Here's an overview. So Members, that's free. So it's got no payment, there's no drip, but if you want to restrict content, like in a very simple membership website, then you can use that one. I use that on one of your websites that uses Members. Restrict Content Pro, it's very flexible. It used to be Pippin Williams, Pippin's plugins. I think he used to own ACF. It's now WP Engine, I think. But it's very flexible. It's great for like a general subscription website. AR Member is good for a beginner. So if you've never done a membership site before and you want an easy route to implement, it's got wizards, it's got really good user interface, great documentation. So that'll set you up really well. MemberDash, probably if you've got LMS, that's probably what you want to do because it's just easier. MemberPress, that's the one I mentioned. It's probably the biggest, most powerful one for implementing complex stuff. I probably wouldn't start on there if you've got a simple website, membership website, because it's got so much stuff in there, you'd be disabling things all over. But if you're
starting something that you think will go big, because if you get partway through, you don't want to restart. So would you suggest use that one up first then?
It depends. That's a conversation you have with your client or yourself. What's the plan for the first 6 months at launch?
So what's the schedule?
Where are you going to be in a year? Try and think where you're going to be in 2 years. Because some clients will have no plans for future. It just like launches things, see where it does.
Yeah.
Other clients will have a definite, okay, I want to take this, big in the next 2 or 3 years. So yeah, it would depend on their choices.
Do they all have ways of exporting the membership databases so you can import them into another one? No.
That's my question.
No.
Sort of started to intend to continue.
Not even the big one, MemberPress.
No, I mean they don't want you to move anywhere else.
They don't want you to move.
You can export some stuff, but unless you're a developer, you're going to have to massage it.
If you start with something small and then it actually takes off, you're like, oh, I'm going to start again.
Yeah, and it's something you need to make the business aware of.
Yeah, that's my.
Yeah.
Excuse my ignorance, what is LMS?
Learning management system, so video courses.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's some membership plugins by scenario. So free content, members, like you've got a very simple subscription model, and you may want to drip or not. Restrict Content Pro is good for that. Complex pricing tiers, AR members really good. So if you've got bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and then you've got, basic, and then you got like a free. If you've got different ones, then AR member is really good at doing that membership level hierarchy stuff. Member Dash is, LMS and MemberPress, really advanced LMS. It's got good add-ons and stuff. So that's like the serious membership sites.
You haven't got WooCommerce memberships in there?
No, I haven't got that. I've used it in the past, but it kind of got missed out on a lot. So it was there, and it was WooCommerce subscriptions and memberships, and it was like, yay, and then it didn't really evolve. It just stayed as it was for ages. I think they've done some improvements just now, but I still don't think it's anywhere near as good as the other ones. Plus, it's costly. You got WooCommerce, which is free, but then WooCommerce, you got to add like a buttload of add-ons because the core offering is really bad, which adds up. And then you got to have WooCommerce membership, which is what, $200 a year. Then WooCommerce subscriptions, which is $200 a year, and it just adds up. I don't think it's good value at the moment. So some case study. So I had a client, this is going back 2016, 17, 2018, that kind of period. They had a murder mystery membership website.
Or a murder mystery.
Murder mystery, yes. So they wanted a membership site. It's going to be a monthly subscription model. So they'd have a new case file would be delivered every month, be dripped. And then within that case file, case notes to help them solve the mystery would be dripped every day or every couple of days, And that lasted for the month. And then in the month would be the big reveal. This is who the murderer, the killer, whatever it was. And that was it. And we sat down and we talked for ages about it. Where do you want to grow this thing? No, it's just a part-time thing. It's just like a semi-hobby just to get some income in. Okay, no problem. Are these case files, are they ever going to change? When people access them, no, all this stuff, fine. So on paper, it's simple. The proposal, that was great. However, during planning or during implementation, things changed very quickly. And subscription model that we'd chosen, there was problems. So let's go through some of that. So here's the main tech stack. And after we chatted, this is what I was going to implement. It's going to restrict Content Pro because that was my membership website. I could do anything in that. We're going to use easy digital downloads for the payment side because that is also that was Pippin's plugin. So these two things work really well together. Hey, Stefan. Advanced custom fields because there was lots of stuff going on because it was a case file thing. So I needed extra custom post types, drafty forms because that's my go-to. And back then I was a Genesis person. So that was the rough tech stack. There was lots of other plugins and add-ons, but that was the general tech stack that we went with. And Restrict Content Pro, a monthly subscription, that was going to be super easy. Tick, tick, tick. Okay, so this is what happened. The client only had 4 case files ready at launch. So 4 months worth of stuff, which for them sounded a lot because they had to spend a lot of time creating it. But in reality, once the site was launched, got to month 5, there's nothing there. Or they were running to produce content, and then users were starting to get a bit annoyed because it was actually launched to quite a lot of users. There's a few thousand people there. So the client severely underestimated the content production time. By month 5, she was really, they were really falling behind to try to get the stuff out and put it in WordPress and all that sort of stuff. They got quite a bit of a churn. People left, a lot of people left, and there's quite a lot of people saying, where's the stuff, all that sort of thing. So when you're doing the scoping system, I know it's not up to you, being the developer or the implementer or whatever, but it's well worth having a talk with them about strategy, content strategy. What content do they have? How long is it going to take for them to produce it? This client was going out to get like custom photos of actors and all that sort of stuff. It was like big stuff. It wasn't just stock images. They were getting voice actors for audio and things like that. So the strategy for creating the content was they didn't even think about how long it would take. So my conversation, I should have been clear on content strategy. What have you got? How long does it take to produce? How much will you have? I should have said to me to plan at least 12 months worth of case files and outline, or at least outlines, so you've got that there, and produce 6 months at least before launch. I think I had 1, maybe 2 case files at launch, and then the rest were, the other 2 were added after that. And as well, this is for them, giving them processes, schedule regular content production time, put it in a calendar. That's my thing now, the last few years. It's not in the calendar, I don't do it. So make sure they put that as a process in their calendar. Otherwise, other things come in and now they don't have content and the members are starting to grow. So that was one thing, that was a big thing that happened. So the trial period went from, let's just give people 1 or 2 weeks free, to we actually want an upfront deposit. And then actually the deposit needs to be taken off the first month's subscription. And if they cancel it, then it needs to be refunded. So that went from look, I can do a week's trial in Restrict Content Pro, but how do I handle the $100 upfront deposit? And even though, how do I take that off of the first subscription, but then have the other recurrent subscriptions the same? And this is directly from the client. This is what they wanted. Right? And I was like, can't do that. You can, but you can't do that. So because this is after deployment, or at least kind of within that deployment thing. There's, I want to change this. So that caused a lot of issues. And we looked into things like payment delays. Like you can delay the payment. You can have that sort of thing. We looked at all that, but that was more of a Stripe thing, and it wasn't a PayPal thing. So yes, so it created a lot of confusion and a lot of admin overhead as well, because I said, if you're going to do that, you have to do it manually, because I can't implement that otherwise. So again, what I could have done early on, what we could do early on, is think about the platform and plugin and how that automates free trials. So again, that's back to the planning. I think I had a bit on that, about how do you implement free trials. Choose payment authorization holds, maybe, instead of upfront charges. It's like push it back. Try and avoid manual refunds, because manual refunds are a nightmare. So if that's automated, that's great. And at the end of the day, just try and get your clients to keep it simple. Like 7-day free trial is great, and then get them to sign up for a delayed subscription. Give them 2 weeks, but get them to sign up for it. And let's try and avoid this whole 175 deposit, take it off. So it's just, that's a nightmare. So have clarity, let them have clarity in thinking about how people sign up and pay for it. The next one was, access retention. So initially, if you cancel subscription, that's it, the whole thing goes. Now, people are pretty familiar with that. You cancel your gym subscription, you can't rock up to gym the next day with your towel and joggers on. They're not going to let you in. However, and this was after delivery, the client wanted members to previously keep all the unlocked case files. So if they had 6 case files and then they canceled, they would keep those, so you could still log in and access them and play them all again. There's a little reset button that would reset the whole drip thing. But then they couldn't get case file number 7 or the ongoing ones. Now, I'm tearing my hair out. This is why I've got short hair now. So that really required a substantial look at how Restrict Content Pro works and how the access permissions all go in. I won't tell you what happened there. I started developing a plugin, but I just kept coming up against Restrict Content Pro, they're overriding stuff. It was a nightmare. So it couldn't handle it natively. Actually talked to Pippin on post Slack. Look at this client, and he's like, no, don't even go there. So I'm like, look, if the author of the plugin says don't go there. So again, I had conversations like, well, if you really want to implement this, we're going to have to pull the membership plugin and go with something that allows for unlocked access. What you do when you do that is you have to store when people get access to stuff in a separate table, so that when they do cancel, you can then apply separate logic that says, you log in, you access this, but you don't get access to that. Restrict Content Pro didn't do that. So it was going to be a whole pull out this layer of infrastructure and push something else in, which is going to be costly and a nightmare. So again, What can we do when we're scoping? Define the content access rules before launch. So do we keep it? Do you revoke it? So that conversation really needs to be told. And again, as you were asking, if the client is not thinking about 1 year, 2 year ahead, then they should be, because if it does change, you'll be having a conversation to say, well, if you do implement these types of membership models that we had on that list before, that's going to require a change of membership plugin, which is going to be a headache and lots of money for you. That was a big pain. End of month cancellation. So the cancellations, they were at the end of the billing cycle, so not instantly. So the client decided that if someone cancels on January the 2nd, then still have access all the way through January, and it stops on 1st of February, which was fine. But we had a lot of members come back to say that when they cancel, we want to cancel. We don't want to play for another, 4 weeks. We want, you to stop right now. We want a cancellation back there. So that resulted in a lot of support tickets. A lot of people saying, I submit a cancel. I've not heard any cancellation. What's happening? Because there's no things that came back. So a lot of frustration around that cancellation. So I think when you're planning a membership site for yourself, for your clients, you really need to have a look at what happens with cancellation, and not just cancellation. This is a card expiration as well. So what happens when they lose access to that? What are the processes involved with that? You can do things like showing a confirmation message. When it expires, you can have it on the dashboard, visual countdown. So you've got 28 days left before expiry. So it's just giving the information back to the client to say, okay, we've cancelled it, we've heard you, here's the email, you still have access. And again, this should be in your policy as well. So this is what happens during cancellation. You still get access, get a message, you have a chance to read, all that sort of stuff. What we found that most people, when they cancel something, they want immediate cancel, not just end of month or end of 6 months or end of 2 months. So just make that super clear in the policies at the beginning, that they of course should read and accept before they subscribe.
Sorry, what happens if they cancel, say midway in the subscription period? Do you refund them for the half of the month?
Well, that's a question you need to ask the client. What happens if, is it an immediate refund? Is it a pro rata refund if they move on to the next one? So those are great questions, and that you need to figure out what you want to do and how to implement that on the payment gateway and the logic side. Because what you might want to do might not fit with the technology layer that you want to implement. If you want crazy $100 bill in advance, take off subscription, all that sort of stuff, it might seem okay in your head, but the implementation is really quite difficult. So that's a good question. That's my membership matrix. Again, that'll be on the slides that I post up to the socials.